So we're gonna continue from where we left off. We're gonna focus on finishing up. Alright, so continuing from King Leopold letter to his colonized missionaries in Congo. Let's see. We left off right about here. As we can see where we left off at. So we're on page 2 now. Alright. And he said, continuing, he said, convert all the black by using the whip. Mentally keep them under control by fear. Keep their women in 9 months of submission to work freely for us. You know, in a sense, you keep them away from the men, keep the women occupied, keep them submit. And that includes, sex, pregnancy, whatever it is they gotta do. This way it doesn't give the men no motivation, it gives them no significant connection. No, it's like you could kind of breaking ties between relationships, basically. So nobody could really be bonded with their women. Force them to pay you in signs of recognition, goats, chickens, or eggs every time you visit their village. So they want them to treat them as if like they're the one who in control. Like, it's like worshiping to your gods, something like that. And make sure that that niggas never become rich. And make sure they never to become rich, because this way you always have control over them. Sing every day that it is impossible for the rich to enter the heavens. And I do have a song like that for real. It's in the Bible. One of them Psalms. Not Psalms. One of them biblical songs. You know what I'm saying? Where they talk about you should not be rich in heaven. Make them pay taxes. Make them pay tax each week at Sunday Mass. Use the money supposed for the poor. Supposed. If you really pay attention to a lot of the things that's being said here, is the exact same behavior of how black people living today. At this point, you could say the whole nation of America is like that, but it's a Pacific. We're talking about the mentality of a Pacific group of people, where they feel like it's like this is just what you have to do, right? This is all another way of submission, right? Control, right? Even though we all have to pay taxes, but this was specifically done for a certain group of people to live under certain control. And don't let them, and kind of supposedly do something for them, which is what they do today. This is why the government today, they give black people a little, but not enough. It's just the mentality of keeping them in control, right? Keeping them wanting more, which builds up an emotional, behavior where, envy, greed, shame, depression, all these things would come into play. Hatred, jealousy, right? To build flourishing businesses, centers, institute, and confessional systems. So as he was mentioned, use the money that he got from taxes or the mass on Sundays to supposedly give to the poor. Help them build small businesses and stuff like that. Little stuff. Give them a little faith, to feel like they're doing something, right? This will create a diversity between people too, because some people will be like, well, I did this and I do this, and some people be like, well, you're not doing it for a holistic reason. You're only doing it for an individual reason. Or you're only doing it for, basically it's like an institution, right, which is a small thing, right? It's not for a whole group of people. And certain black people get into this type of um, position, they feel like they're different or they're better than the other black people, or they don't want to lose it because it's not it could be taken away from them easily. So of course, we're gonna develop these animosities between each other. And then here's the part where the institution is confessional system, which is like, as you know, we have the issues, the government, where they use certain programs or certain things to keep the black people under control or to keep memorizing that mentality behavior, welfare, um, certain institution where you only could get certain type of benefits and stuff like that, which allows you to be good detective denouncing any blacks that has a different consciousness or contrary to the fact of the decision maker. Basically, you're just saying they don't want them to get no revolutionary mentality, right? Teach the niggas to forget their heroes and to adore us only, or else to adore ours. White Jesus, Zeus, the Pope, um, Abraham Lincoln, them type of people. Like, yeah. So we're forgetting about our own heroes, which we do have our own heroes, Never present a chair to the black that comes to visit you. Don't give him more than one cigarette. Never invite him for dinner, even if he gives you chicken every time you arrive at his house. See this right here? This right here says a lot. It's one reason why we can't really live around them, or we try to be, we took, how should I say, we seclude ourselves away from them. I say get out of that mentality. That's what I say. We should get out of that mentality, and we need to learn to not see ourselves any different from them. Even though today, we kind of revert from that, but it's still in the mentality because we see it in our family members, so we do what we see, right? I say, they don't give me no chicken, I don't give them no damn chicken. They can't come there. I can't go in the house, they can't come to my house. That's just what it is. That's the mindset we need to have. The above speech, which shows the real intention of Christianity missionary journeys in Africa, was exposed to the world by Mr. Makani. I can't pronounce this whole thing, but it's a long ass name. Born in the Congo in 1915, and who in 1935, while working in a Congo, brought a second-hand Bible from the Belgian priest who forgot the speech in the Bible. Dr. Shidozi Akura, we should note. Now, this is very important, because this also opened up the door or the understanding of how the Bible play a role in African people. And also he opened the door to say how the Bible did not or was not a part of the African people until the colonizers came. Yeah. This is what this is. Because, this guy basically found out the real intentions of the Christianity missionaries. They basically what he figured out that when he got the Bible, remember he said he bought the Bible from one of the priests, a second-hand Bible from one of the priests of Belgium, who forgot that these speeches was in the Bible. He forgot that these speeches was in the Bible, teaching telling them how black people should live, how niggers should live, how Congos should live, telling the white people how to treat them. The manipulation of using the Bible to tell them how they should believe in the Bible. That also says that they brought something to them that they never know about. They didn't know whether it was language or not. It have nothing to do with the language. It was more about they're bringing information with any consciousness to it. Because if the Bible was related to them, or even if they had information that based on religion, they would have relate, they would have understand, it would have made sense to them. They'd have been like, wait, isn't this a quote from so and so and so? Isn't this a quote from so and so and so? But this is not what the whole thing said. You just got to keep reading more, blah, 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 blah. If they had known about the Bible, they would be able to quote or to relate these quotes from the Bible to the Bible in their own understanding. This is why he said the Belgian priest who forgot that the speeches was in the Bible. Let's carry on. Let's read a little bit more because it gets sweeter. And then he said, take note. So take note, and these are the notes. 1. All the missionaries carry out and still carry out that mandate. We are only lucky to have found King Leopold articulation of the aim of all Christian imperialist missionary to Africa. Now, this is just basically saying that he found a letter and they was lucky to find it to show, what the King Leopold was basically ordering for them to do. Even the African converts, step 2, note 2, even after African converts to, even the Africans convert who today manage the elder churches in Africa. Let me read that again. Even the Africans converts who today manage the elder churches in Africa. And this is important because it sounds a little confusing. What he's saying is the people that are running the church today is black people. It's African people. It's the so-called AKA niggers. The priest, bishop, archbishop, cardinal, etc. of the Roman and the priest Protestant sects, and especially also those who evangelize born-again Christianity. Facts. The people who are all these people right now, that what they call born again, they're people from the Congo. They're slave. They're niggas, right? As they said, the N-word, right? Still serve the same mandate, which why they demonize African gods and angelize African names, because the same people who are running Christianity are the same black people that are already being Christianized. They're already converted. So they don't see nothing wrong with it. See, it's not like they had their grandparents or the parents of some of these kids that was brought up. Those people was killed off. Remember, in the beginning we say they killed off the mothers and fathers and only focused on the children. Separate the children from their parents. And drop the names of the African deities which form part of African names, and still attack and demolish the African shrines that have managed to survive. And I put a comment here, or Kaija of one of the African deities, or the shrines that the Africans was worshiping to when they want, when they feel like they need to. All right. Note 3. Those Africans who voluntarily converted to Christianity before the colonized church has, as Afonso I of the Congo in the 15th century probably did not discern the purpose of the brand of Christianity that was supplied to them. So he basically just saying that, he was, the fact that he rejected it or he hold on to his historical point of views, he never got converted. He never volunteered into this Christianity person. So he's not in the brainwashing sense of where we are today, which was probably why they fall easily prey to the missionaries and the white traders and pirates who followed them. So, and this is important. This is important. So, what I understand is what he's saying is that, because the reason why this letter is important, because it picturizes the way we live today as black people, right? In America, any part of the world, basically, right? It picturizes that. Some of us are waking up out of this mentality, right? And Christianity is the main focus for our demise. It is. It is one of our main focus for our demise. It would not allow us to shake off this mentality of slave perception or slave training. It's like we pass it on to our children because we pass on this religion conception. Once we let go of the religion conception, we wouldn't have to deal with this type of mentality. It would be different. Hopefully, be better it could be different for the better. We just got to teach better, just like how they was living better without it. This is really important. Because like he said, I'm going to read it again, which was probably why they fell easy prey to the missionaries and the white traders and the pirates who followed them. Basically, he's saying the black people, the African people who volunteered or got pushed into slavery, mostly the ones who volunteered, because we're talking about a whole century later, right? From 2015, from the 15th century to the 16th century, and I could go back. I'll go as far as back as the 14th century. That they was trying to convert these African people into Christianity. They infiltrated, like I say, it was like a cancer, right? They come in with good intentions and then boom, they just start deteriorating and killing everybody. But they had to control the minds of the people. And they did that shit for at least a good century, for children upon children upon children upon children. And then after the second grandma generation passed on, it was a wrap. The children already done soaked into this building. Well, not all of them, but most of them, at least or half of them. And the ones who didn't fall under, they was the one who mostly got the tortured. This is the one who really got killed and villages and pillaged and all these different things. Those are the ones who suffered the most because they rejected it. But the ones who lived under it, they was comfortable. There is nothing wrong with it because it was part of their culture. It was part of their understanding of how they should live. So they believed it. And this is what he's saying. The fact that they brought Christianity in Africa, and they converted some of the people, and yes, they forced some of the people to teach their children to do what they was doing. So the children, the children gonna pass it on to their younger ones when they get children, and that civilized the generation in a Christian mindset. So when the truth comes out, they're not gonna fall for it. Some of them gonna be confused. Some of them gonna be like, but. This is what this means. Note 3 is very important. And he clearly said, I did not fall for this shit. I did not fall for Christianity, Brendan, because I know we had our own gods. Like, why would I want to fall for it? And the fact that now that they fall for it, it's hard for them to flip back. And even if they try to flip back, it's like you gotta fight your own people now, which is horrible. Why would I want to fight my own people? All right, let's carry on. Now, this is this paragraph. It's gonna be real interesting. Let's go. But their Japanese counterparts. No, we're talking about African now. But we're going over to the Japanese now. This. All this is in the letter, right? But their Japanese counterparts probably did discern the game, even without access to some vision of Leopold's letter. But even if the Japanese shogun did not institute what Leopold makes explicit, they clearly realized that the danger of Japanese converts to Christianity forming a fifth column within Japanese society and state, a fifth column loyal to their co-religious in Europe to rid Japan of the danger. In the late 16th century, the shogun began the exploration of Portuguese and Spanish missionary on the ground that they were forced Japanese to become Christians. And this is why I said where Christian, not even Asian people was into the Christianity shit. All this shit was bought on into them. It was not something they was fan of. It was bought into them. And as you could say, based on the fact that it was going to war and all that stuff, they forced it upon them. Because they didn't want, Shogun wasn't having it. Teach their discipline to wreck temples, take and trade in slave, etc. Then in 1596, it became clear the Japanese authority that the Christians had been a prelude to Spanish conquest of other plans. Yeah, prelude to the Spanish conquest of other plants. So they was trying to, you know, pollute the Japanese lifestyle and forcing Christianity into them. You know what I'm saying? They was pushing this agenda, forcing Japanese to become Christians. Why? That's why I see, and it's not just the Japanese. You know, we talk about like the whole Asian area, the whole Asian continent. They was pushing this agenda, but it was just to show the Japanese that Japanese was right there. You know, because they amongst all the other Asian countries, that probably did fight back. I would say the Japanese probably put a display of more rejectful force, right? And compared to the Africans in Congo, there was already, once they came in and they started trading with Africans prior to the 15th century, I would say, they was converting them. They was telling them this is the way to go, blah, 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 blah. So by the time they decided to go to war and take over the countries or whatever, some of the people already accepted this, right? And then once they start going into the war and they start killing off, they start beefing with African people, killing them off, they will gradually get rid of the father, of course, then slowly get rid of the mothers because we don't want to deal with the word of mouth situation. And then they focus on the children. And as you mentioned, to keep the women in submission. So therefore, they wouldn't have to be comfortable around the men, not even their own children. It's just to keep them under control. Yeah, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so it's crazy. And as I mentioned before, this is how slavery got into Africa. It started out with a friendly gesture, trading, bringing in their mentality, way of slowly trying to develop, break the people down, and then kaboom, then start killing, pillaging, do whatever it is they have to do. And then once they start turning people into religion, and the religion is not just Christianity, I mean, they try to separate them, but as far as I could tell, they're all the same. But we talking about um, Muslims, all of religion that relates to Christianity, right? And they try to convert them into Africa. And then what they do when they turn some of these people, whether it's, whatever kind of Christians they are to Muslims, they use these people to pillage the rest of the people that's there. So there is that the people are turning against themselves because of religion, because of belief. And then whenever they was trying to fight back against the white people, they couldn't do it because they're already worshiping them as their gods, as if they're the leaders of them. They're already teaching them how to behave. Now, the focus on this letter, like I mentioned before, is to symbolize the understanding of how, or not symbolize, sorry, it's to synchronize the way how we live today, the mindset of what we have today. Christianity is the main breeding, manipulative plant, the seed. It's not the main factor, but it's the seed to why majority of black people today cannot wake up. We're stuck in a loop. We're stuck in a delusional mind frame. And we need to wake up. The unity in black people was destroyed based on Christianity. There are people who's Christians that even go against their family members for Christianity. We have to fix that. And I'm going to stop here.